Alright, I have a 2006 Chrysler Town & Country with a 3.3 liter V6 in it here. I'm going to be changing out this oil pan gasket here today. Now, I'd already previously got my valve cover gaskets replaced on here. They were leaking pretty bad. So we're going to go ahead and work on this oil pan gasket. Now, the first thing you want to do is get it lifted up safely. Get it on ramps or something so you can get under here and have room to do something. Not a bad idea to get you some cardboard or something down so you can, unless you got a creeper. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this gasket here. Okay, so this is Felpro. Use a lot of Felpro. They seem to be really good. And there's the number. So we're just going to go ahead and get under the car here and get started. It's going to be kind of a messy job. First thing we'll want to do is get the oil drained. Okay, I'm underneath the car here just to give you a little idea of all this leakage going on under here. So I got the valve cover leak stopped, so that's good. But we got lots of oil under here. So we're going to get this fixed up. I got my 13 on the plug here. We're going to go ahead and get this drain in here now. Got my pan ready. I'm going to lift this pan up a little bit as I'm doing this here so I don't make a mess. Okay, so we'll let that drain for a bit. And I think we'll go ahead and get started on all these tins. Now, it's not going to be uncommon for some of these to be stripped out. They get them really tight in the factory, so don't be surprised if some of these aren't stripped. I don't think I've seen any yet that were not. Actually, the very first thing we're going to do is get a hold of these tins here. We got a little plate here. We've got an 18 over here. And if you'll notice, it's like a little dust shield for your transmission here. This oil pan is going to hang up on that and tear that. So we need to get this out of the way. So we're going to take these two tins out and then this 18 right over here. And then we should be able to just slip this down and out of there. Okay, so we're getting these tins out of here. Now we'll get to work on that 18. Okay, now the 18 will be pretty snug because it's going into a brace that braces the engine over to the transmission. So we're going to completely remove that. Okay, so there's that big 18 out of there. Now we should be able to work this out here. At least we're going to try to. So it looks like it may be hanging up on that corner out there, so we may have to go back and loosen up some of the other bolts on this brace here. Okay, I want to show you the bolts back here in this brace behind the oil pan. There's a 15 right here. So you need to get that loose. There are 18s. There's two right there. And you need to get those loose. So we got to get this. We may have to take them completely out, or at least get enough to where we can slide this out of here. So I'm going to take them a little bit more loose. What I'm using is, I've got a little bit of an extension. And I'm coming back in over this to get the 18s up here. I'm just coming right over it and loosen it. Now this one here is a little bit trickier, but I've got you can see how this bends. It's on a little bit of a hinge. So I was able to come in through here and go over this, but yet I'm still able to loosen that. So I've got them loose. I'm going to take them a little bit more loose and without taking them out, hopefully here. And we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't wiggle. So once they're pretty tight, it's going into a brace. They're pretty tight at first, but once you get initially broke loose, they come pretty easily. So anyways, we've got that pretty loose. Still not wanting to just come off of here. So we may have to go ahead and take these up here loose. I'm going to go ahead and just take these 18s out and just let it kind of drop down, I guess, because it's wanting to tear the seal there, and I don't want that. So we're just going to take those out. It's just a brace. Now there's a coolant pipe that runs up here. That the 18 millimeter on the left hand side is a little bit trickier, but you can get to it. Okay, so it just fell down on me there. That's all right. So we've got that out now. You can see how it goes up in there like that, and it just drops down. So anyways, we got that off of there now, and we'll just leave that 15 millimeter in over here. And see, now we don't have to worry about this hanging up here, so we have to get that out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and get us a 10 millimeter, and we're just going to start working our way around the perimeter here, taking all of these loose, and we'll try to drop this down without it making a mess, hopefully. Okay, so I've got most all of them out. I've just left a couple here, one on each side, so I can get a hand on it here. These are studded bolts, or yeah, down here. You just take the nuts off. So everything is clear. This may stick, I don't really know, but I'm going to make sure I get a hand on it anyways before I take these final two bolts out here. Okay, I just took the final two bolts out, and this thing will drop down, so you have to have a hand on it. It wasn't stuck whatsoever, so it just fell down there, and was no problem getting it off. The only thing we got left is this old gasket that's stuck on here. There's a little bit of RTV that they put right here. It's typical with any gasket that meets up with the front cover, so it's up to you, but I'm going to put just a little dab. I'm going to scrape this off with the putty knife, and I'm going to put a little dab if I can find some, but if I don't, then I'll just put it on there without it, because it's sure, if it leaks, it ain't going to be much. It sure ain't going to be like it was doing here. So I'm going to get to cleaning this up, scraping this off, wiping all this surface off with some paper towels and stuff, and then we'll get the oil pan cleaned up next. Okay, so the first thing I've done is wipe this oil pan up inside and out with some paper towels and got the most of the grime and oil off. And then we're going to go ahead and pour some purple cleaner in here and just kind of finish it off and make sure it's nice and clean inside and out. Okay, and I just got one of these like tire scrubbers that works really good. You don't have to get your hands down in there. This purple cleaner is really, really good stuff. You want to rinse this degreaser off after you get it cleaned up. You know, you want to rinse it with some clean water because it will just keep eating on surfaces, more especially aluminum. It will actually eat aluminum up. So, and you don't want to get it on your hands. It's really kind of harsh, and it will dry your hands out for a good bit. So we're just going to clean this up really good and get it dried off. and then we'll work on getting it back into the vehicle here. Okay, when cleaning this up, you want to pay particular attention to these areas. Use some brake cleaner or whatever to cut the grease and oil or whatever off of there. Actually, we got this area, these 2 points down here where it meets up, and we got these 2 points here. I thought about skipping this step, but then I remembered back and I was like, no, better do it, because you'd be surprised how much of a leak you can get in just one little area where it doesn't seal. Now, most of the time the gasket will seal, but if it doesn't, then all this is going to be for nothing. So it's not pleasant, but that's the price you pay if you want to stop the leaks on your driveway. But anyways, we got it cleaned up. Dirt tends to get in these threads, so you want to take some air or something and blow those out a little bit, just very carefully, so you're not blowing stuff up here. But I went and blew the threads out, because as I was cleaning, scraping, this stuff was getting in here to the threaded holes, so we don't want that. So the next step, like I said, we're going to get the pan cleaned up. We're going to get some RTV on here, and then we'll just go to setting it back into place here. Okay, so I've got some of this ultra black RTV. I'm going to be putting it in those spots I was showing you there real quick. Kind of left this in place. This will drip a little bit, and I don't want it making a mess. Okay, I've got my oil pan here nice and clean. Just setting this gasket on it. It'll only go the one way, so this little part just goes right here where this little notch sticking out, which there's one up here too. But anyways, we're going to get it underneath here. So I've got I just put a little dabs there at those spots. That's all you need. And we're going to try to set it up here without sliding it around a whole lot, hopefully. And I want to also, I'm doing that, get me some bolts handy, a couple of them. We'll put them like starting in the center on each side, and that'll be enough to hold it. And we got to go over these little studs down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Also clean these bolts up. I just used some gasoline. Clean those up. Okay, I've got my first 2 bolts in, and you have to kind of set this end up in here first over the top of this, and then go over the studs down here. And I just kind of set the whole thing up there. But with the silicone, you could set the gasket. It would probably hold temporarily while you just put the pan on. So now I'm just going to go through and put every little bolt in here, and then we'll worry about torquing them down. And of course, you'll want to get all these loosely started by hand before you go to snugging any of them. Just get them all started a little bit by hand. So now I'm just going to go ahead and snug them down a little more, and you'll want to use an extension to make things a little easier. Okay, now I'm just going through my little 1/4 inch ratchet and my extension to snug them all down. Okay, so far we've just kind of been running the bolts down a little bit as we're tightening. We'll want to go from the middle, start in the middle, and then we'll go over here to the middle of this side. And then we'll just kind of go back and forth or crisscross from the middle and work our way out. So we're making sure we're getting it nice and flat. And then I'll come back over here and just kind of zigzag across from side to side, working from the middle out to the edges. Okay, if you want to torque them, you're going to need an inch-pound torque wrench. I seen it was calling for like 105 inch-pounds. However, I'm only going to go about 85 inch-pounds. In my opinion and experience, it seems like it just crushes these. And you know, the gasket's going to do the job. It doesn't have to be that tight. If you're just tightening it by hand, just snug them down with a 1/4 inch ratchet and just get it snug. It is not going anywhere. The gasket itself, you know, just has to be snugged up a little bit and it's going to seal. The more you tighten it, I feel like it just crushes them, and you run the risk of stripping these threads and these little bolts out. So I don't like to go very tight on these little bitty bolts. You know, you've seen the size of them. So I'm going to go through with my 85 inch-pounds, and I'm going to do from the middle over, just crisscrossing and working my way out until I get this all torqued down. Okay, I've made one pass at 85 inch-pounds, and now I'm just going to go back from the middle out and make one more pass and just double check them and make sure they're all the same. Okay, our oil pan is all taken care of. You'll want to make sure that your plug is tight before you go to filling it with oil. I'm just going to set this plate, just pushes that right back up in there, and we'll take our little 10 millimeters and get those started back. Okay, we're just taking the 10 millimeter and snugging these back down. Then we can work on getting our brace back up in here into place. And we've still got it on the 15, so we're just going to swing it up here like so. We'll get all these big 18 millimeters started, and then we'll just kind of tighten everything down at once. Okay, and you can see how I'm getting to these up here. I'm just kind of going up and over this CV axle. I mean, I don't know how yours will be, but these are going in by hand real easy, so I can snug it all the way down by hand and then essentially go up there with my extension and get it the rest of the way. And then I just got the 15 over here on this side, you can see, and I can reach right up there and snug that all the way down by hand as well. So once I get it far enough, I'm going to go ahead and just start snugging these up with the ratchet, and we'll have our brace tightened up. Okay, so we got those three 18s snugged down really good, and we got our 15 right over here snugged down. So we're all finished up with that. Okay, so the only other thing we got to contend with, we're going to get a new oil filter on here, and then we'll get some oil in it and we'll see how it's going to do here. Okay, it's always good to put you a little clean oil on that seal before you put this up into place. We'll just snug that down by hand. All right, now we're ready to get some oil in it. This takes a 5W20. Okay, so the oil's in, nothing left to do but just to drive it and check it for leaks. Okay, so that's going to do it on this video, replacing this oil pan gasket, this 3.3 liter V6. It's a 2006 Chrysler Town & Country. Wasn't too bad, a little bit messy, but not too bad of a job. And that's definitely going to stop all these leaks and stuff. So hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. As always, I invite you to subscribe, and thanks for watching.